Hello, and welcome to Rory's Brainworks, where we get creative and see if it works. Today, we will be going over the ultimately important facts about rope. Which ones to use, length, sizes, etc. It'll be a comprehensive guide for those who have just started and people who have been doing shibari for a long time, giving you those snippets of information and knowledge your brain desperately seeks. Education is key, just like communication. Speaking of which, we're still gonna go over safe, sane, and consensual. Even though we are not even tying anyone up, it should be said at all times. Safe, be sure to have some safety scissors with you at all times, just in case you need to snip a little bit of them ropes. You can always get new rope. You can't get a new life. Sane, be sure to practice these things in a proper state of mind. And consensual, Marie and I are both consenting adults. We agree to do these things together because communication, like education, is key. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty information of our fibrous, synthetic, organic little friends.
Hamlet, you surly devil, you. Oh, hello.
Welcome to
Rory's Knowledge Nook, where I'm gonna teach you about the history of rope. Come sit down with me.
Now, it should come as no surprise that we've been using a close approximation of ropes since the prehistoric times, and it's likely that these ropes were natural occurring plant fibers like vines. And it's safe to assume that our ancient ancestors began twisting these vines together to create the closest rendition of proper rope. However, the first record of rope being used goes back to Europe when soft spun twines of cordage cotton rope were tied around fire clay pots, which dates them back 28,000 years. As with all things, the ancient Egyptians were the first civilization to create special tools to make rope. The tensile strength of their weaving are still evident as full coils of rope are being exhumed today, coils of rope that date back to 4000 BCE. The water reed, papyrus, animal hair, and date palm fibers were used until hemp stepped into the picture, and that's when rope became a profession. Ropers, people who worked on rope walks in roperies, were people that tied and coiled 300-yard lengths of rope that were used primarily in sailing ship rigging, which started from the Middle Ages deep into the 18th century. The how and why of creating rope expanded, creating different strengths, different widths, different lengths, and different cording methods. Cording methods such as twisting, plaited, endless winding, braid, and braiding all became different ways of creating the beauty of rope. The profession thrived. And then nylon stepped into the picture, becoming the first commercially successful synthetic thermoplastic polymer in 1927. After a short foray being brought into the world of toothbrush bristles, women's stockings, and outdoorsman fabrics for tents and sheaths, nylon got weaved into cord used for parachutes in 1940, which made the fiber a new commonplace for paracord and climber's rope. And then the kinksters picked it up and started using it, which is an entirely different story altogether. Now, I'm here with a local expert who is still tied up right now. You know, Marie, you don't have to wear that all the time. Spoken like a true rope model. So like I said before, you have a lot of different varieties of rope that you can use. Some of it, well, most of it, all comes down to preference. What you prefer to tie with and what your rope model prefers to be tied with. Not just you in this situation. That goes back to the consent. What I want and what the bunny wants have to be in line with each other. You can't force a particular type of rope on your rope model if they do not have a preference towards it. If they dislike it, don't use it. If they're okay with it, radical. So I usually like to break down what kind of ropes there are into 3 categories. You have synthetics, like nylon most of the time. You have organics, kind of like jute, hemp, bamboo, as well as cotton, just tried and true, especially for time over the ages. Now my preferences specifically go down into nylon. I like the way nylon feels. My sensory touch is very particular. I like tying with it. I like the way it ties. I like the way it looks once it's on. They're my preferences. Your preferences I imagine, as you are a different human being than me, will likely be different as well. Now there's a lot of things that stay the same no matter where you go. One of the most common lengths of rope to use is about 30 feet. 30 feet bundles of rope is usually the bread and butter of shibari, kenbaku, and suspension. Now suspension is where you will see the most varying degree and lengths of rope. Now since suspension is the most foreign of these arts to me, I can only go off a lot of the research that I've done on it and my peripheral knowledge. But since suspension has so many moving parts inside of it, it is very important to have different lengths for different areas. Now because you have so many pressure areas you need to keep safe and important areas on the body in order to suspend someone without it becoming uncomfortable, it is important to have different cuts of rope. You'll have particular 20 feet lengths for this thing, 45 feet, 50 feet, 30 feet. Suspension really plays the gambit as far as length are concerned, and safety, and really consent. But for most standing aesthetic shibari, 30 feet bundles, kenbaku, 30 feet bundles are usually great. Swinging back towards suspension, hemp, jute, bamboo, these types of materials are primarily used for it, mostly because they are very strong. They have that tensile strength, which also goes back to the origins of suspension, which also goes back to the origins of early kenbaku as well. Back in the 1800s in Japan, you likely only had access to hemp and jute and bamboo rope. That is what was primarily used. It's tried and true. It'll continue to be used that way. It's strong and it's available. The advent of synthetic fibers is really what allowed standing and aesthetic shibari to kind of bounce out and become a little bit more eye-capturing, which is why I enjoy it. This silver graphite and the bronze, I can make a tie, a corset that looks like armor. Someone sees that and their imagination runs away with it. Now cotton is the most easiest to use and easiest to find because cotton is, well, everywhere. It's on our clothes, it's on our sheets. It is a ubiquitous fiber. It's soft, but it's not strong. And when pulled too taut, it can be a little restrictive. The main width of a rope is between 6 and 8 millimeters. When pulled taut, cotton tends to get a little bit lower than the 6 millimeter mark. If it becomes too thin, it can become too constrictive. And constriction is the enemy of comfort. What she said. And the better care you take of your ropes, the longer they're going to last. Obviously, they're not going to last forever. The hemp, the jute, the organics, they have a higher tendency of lasting. The longer you use them, the more comfortable they become to use. They may be coarse at first, but as you begin to use them over and over again, they become softer. Cotton remains its softness throughout the entirety of it, but it will fray and it will tear apart sooner. Synthetic fibers are the Twinkies of rope. They're going to last forever through nuclear fallout as long as you take care of them and sanitize them. Now this particular length of nylon rope I bought maybe 7-8 years ago at a home repair store, and I've been taking care of it for that time. It's very soft as far as nylon is concerned, and it was only like $10. It was originally 100 feet, which I had then cut into 3 bundles of 30 feet. If you take care of them, they can last very long as you sanitize them, which is what we'll get into next. Now when you're done playing with your ropes, it's important to store them in a way that indicates that some need to be washed and others are okay to be used again. One of the best ways to do this is to create a little loop like that, reach inside, and pull out the rope, creating another little loop. Reach inside that, create another little loop. Reach inside, grab the rope, make another little loop. You just keep daisy chaining until you've gone through the entirety of the rope. Once you're at the end of your rope, the last little loop, pull the rope through, pull taut. All you gotta do now is grab a pillowcase, put the rope inside the pillowcase, and put it in the wash on a delicate setting. Afterwards, unbundle it and let it air dry. Now for cotton rope, it's important to remove it from the daisy chain, so pull the end of the rope to undo it. Now that it is uncoiled, be sure to put it into a sink with cold water and begin washing it with some disinfectant spray or some disinfectant soap. Afterwards, hang it up to dry. Nylon rope are one of the easiest ones to clean. Simply take your preferred disinfectant spray, spray it into a rag, and then just start pulling that bad boy through. Once you've gone through the entirety of the rope, be sure to spray the rag again and repeat the process, cleaning it around 2 to 3 times. And that is how you clean and take care of your ropes. Well, I hope you have absorbed the little morsels of knowledge about our good friend, rope. Hopefully these tidbits of knowledge help you to be a safer rigger, your bunnies to be in a safer space, and for everyone to be just a little bit more informed. I hope you find your preference. I hope you find what works for you in whatever endeavor you decide to go into, whether it be shibari, kenbaku, or suspension. I would also like to thank my beautiful sponsors down at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/RoarsBrainworks. You lovely people are what allow me to create these artistic endeavors, to spread information and try and educate, as well as making little beautiful arts. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this madness, and comment down below what kind of shibari or kenbaku ties you would like me to teach you. As always, I'm roaring. This is my brain. I'm fairly certain it works. Be safe and go create some art.